there is a version of you that will never be broke. That version exists. But right now, something is silently draining your money every single month. And the worst part? You are the one letting it happen. Not because you are lazy, not because you are dumb, but because nobody ever told you about the invisible traps that were designed to keep you exactly where you are. Today, that changes. What you are about to hear is not a typical money advice video. This is something different, because the real reason most people stay broke has nothing to do with how much they earn. It has everything to do with what they believe, what they accept, and what they unknowingly keep doing every single day. And by the end of this video, you will never see money the same way again. If you are serious about breaking free from financial struggle, take a second right now to like this video and subscribe to Mindfluent, because what you are about to learn could literally change the direction of your entire life. Let's talk about Marcus. Marcus was 31 years old, working a solid job, making decent money. Not rich, but not poor either. Yet, every single month, without fail, he was broke 3 days before his next paycheck. He could not figure it out. He tracked his spending for 1 week and was genuinely shocked. The money was not disappearing. He was giving it away. Willingly, happily, and completely unconsciously. Marcus had fallen into traps. Not one trap, 15 of them. And the terrifying thing is, most people reading this right now are in at least 10 of those same traps today. Here is the first one. And it is the most dangerous because it feels like intelligence. It is called lifestyle inflation. Every time Marcus got a raise, he upgraded something. New phone, better apartment, nicer car. His income grew by 30% over 4 years, but his savings stayed exactly the same. This is what happens when your spending rises every time your income rises. You are running on a treadmill, moving fast, going nowhere. The rich do the opposite. When their income goes up, their lifestyle stays flat and their investments go up. Remember that distinction because it is everything. But here is where things get interesting. Lifestyle inflation is not just about buying things. It is about identity. Marcus believed he deserved better things because he was making more money. And that belief, that harmless-sounding belief, was costing him his future. Most people never notice this. They think they are rewarding themselves. They are actually punishing their future self. The second trap is one that billion-dollar companies have spent decades perfecting just for you. It is called the subscription trap. Right now, without checking, how many subscriptions do you actually pay for every month? Be honest, most people guess 3 or 4. The average American actually pays for 12. 12. Streaming services, gym memberships they never use, apps they forgot about, subscription boxes they signed up for with a free trial and never cancelled. Add it up. You are probably losing anywhere from $150 to $300 every single month on things you barely use. That is not a small number. Over 10 years, at even a modest investment return, that could be $40,000 to $60,000. Gone. For nothing. The third trap is the one that makes you feel the smartest in the store. The sale trap. Marcus loved a good deal. Buy 2, get 1 free. 50% off. Limited time offer. He would drive 20 minutes out of his way to save $5 on groceries. But here is the psychological trick retailers figured out over 100 years ago. When something is on sale, your brain stops asking whether you need it. It only asks whether it is a good deal. Those are completely different questions. You do not save money by spending it on things you did not plan to buy. But your brain releases the same reward chemicals whether you needed the item or not. Retailers know this. That is why they run sales constantly. Now pause for just a second. Because what I just described goes deeper than money. It is about how your brain makes decisions. And understanding this is what separates people who build wealth from people who wonder where it all went. Most people never realize this. And that is exactly why most people stay broke. The fourth trap is one that almost everyone falls into at some point. It is called keeping up with appearances. Not keeping up with the Joneses. Keeping up with the version of yourself you want people to see. Marcus drove a leased BMW, not because he loved the car, but because he loved how people looked at him when he pulled up. He wore designer clothes he could not afford because he wanted to project success. Here is the brutal truth that nobody says out loud. The people you are trying to impress are too busy trying to impress other people to care about what you drive or wear. Meanwhile, the actual wealthy people in your city are driving used Toyotas and wearing plain t-shirts. Research from the book The Millionaire Next Door found that most millionaires do not look like millionaires from the outside. They look ordinary, because they chose financial security over social performance. The fifth trap hits different, because it feels like ambition. It is called the education debt spiral. Now listen carefully, because this one is nuanced. Education is powerful. But borrowing $50,000 to $200,000 for a degree that leads to a $35,000 a year job is not an investment. It is a trap dressed up as opportunity. The question you must ask before any education decision is not what will I learn, but what will I earn and when will I break even? That is the strategic thinker's question. Most people never ask it. Here is where things get really interesting. Trap 6 is one that nobody talks about because it sounds responsible. It is called the emergency fund myth. Not having one is bad. But having too much in one is also a problem. Some people feel so good about having a large cash safety net that they never invest beyond it. Cash sitting in a savings account is losing value every single year due to inflation. 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account is smart. Everything beyond that should be working for you somewhere else. Letting fear keep your money idle is just a slower version of being broke. Comment below right now and tell me which one of these traps you have personally fallen into. You might be surprised how many people are dealing with the exact same thing. The seventh trap is one that destroyed Marcus specifically. It is called emotional spending. After a hard week at work, Marcus would reward himself. After a bad day, he would treat himself. After a fight with someone he cared about, he would go shopping. He was using money to manage his emotions. And this is far more common than anyone admits. Food, clothes, gadgets, alcohol, gambling. All of it can become emotional regulation tools that drain your account while leaving the actual emotion completely unresolved. The purchase feels like relief. It is not. It is delay. And delay always costs extra. Trap 8 sounds logical, but it will quietly wreck you. It is called minimum payment thinking. Marcus had credit card debt. Not a crazy amount, about $8,000. He paid the minimum every month, which was around $160. He thought he was handling it. Here is what the credit card company never shows you in the headline number. At a 22% interest rate, paying only the minimum, it would take Marcus over 30 years to pay off that $8,000. And he would pay more than $25,000 total on $8,000 of original debt. That is not a payment plan. That is a financial sentence. The ninth trap is one that the internet has made dramatically worse in the last decade. It is called information addiction without action. Marcus watched hundreds of videos about personal finance. He read books. He listened to podcasts. He knew the concepts. He knew compound interest, index funds, budget strategies. He knew everything. And he did nothing. There is a psychological phenomenon called the illusion of knowledge, where consuming information about something makes your brain feel like you have partially accomplished it. Learning about working out feels slightly like working out to your brain. Learning about saving money feels slightly like saving. It is not. Information without action is just entertainment. Trap 10 is one of the most invisible because it hides inside your comfort zone. It is called the single income trap. Most people have exactly one stream of income, their job. And the terrifying reality of depending entirely on one source is that you are always one layoff, one health crisis, one company decision away from financial disaster. The wealthy do not have one income stream. Studies show that the average millionaire has 7. You do not need 7 tomorrow. You need to start building one more today. Selling something, learning a skill, creating something, investing somewhere. One more. That is the goal right now. But here is what most people never realize about this trap. It is not just about the money. It is about psychological safety. When you have multiple income streams, your whole relationship with fear changes. You negotiate differently at work. You take risks differently in life. You think differently. One income source is not just a financial vulnerability, it is a mental cage. Trap 11 is one that sounds like discipline, but is actually sabotage. It is called penny pinching instead of value seeking. Some people are so focused on cutting small costs that they never focus on increasing income or making high-value investments. They spend an hour comparing prices on $20 items while completely ignoring decisions that could make or cost them thousands. Where you put your mental energy around money matters as much as where you put the money itself. Stop optimizing the small and start focusing on the large. Trap 12 is one that the entire consumer economy is built on. It is called new over functional. Marcus's phone worked perfectly, but a new model came out, and suddenly his working phone felt inadequate. This psychological shift from functional to inadequate, based purely on comparison, is one of the most expensive mental tricks ever invented. The wealthy ask one question before any major purchase. Does what I have still work? If yes, that is usually the answer. Trap 13 is one that feels like generosity, but can quietly destroy your finances. It is called people-pleasing with money. Paying for everyone at the restaurant, giving loans to friends and family that never come back, saying yes to every request because you are afraid of how people will see you if you say no. Generosity is beautiful. Financial self-destruction disguised as generosity is not. You cannot pour from an empty account. Building your own financial stability first is not selfish. It is the only way you ever become truly generous long-term. Trap 14 is one of the most painful because it involves time. It is called waiting for the right time. Waiting until the debt is paid off to start investing. Waiting until the income is higher to start saving. Waiting until life calms down to make a financial plan. But here is the brutal mathematical truth about waiting. A 25-year-old who invests $200 a month until age 65 will accumulate roughly $500,000 at a 7% return. A 35-year-old doing the exact same thing will accumulate about $240,000. Same behavior. 10 years later, $260,000 less. Time in the market is not a nice to have. It is the entire game. And the final trap, Trap 15, is the one that keeps all the others in place. It is called the broke identity. Deep down, some people have accepted being financially struggling as just who they are. They use language that confirms it. I am just not good with money. Money is not that important to me. Rich people are lucky. These statements are not observations. They are decisions. They are instructions you give your brain about what to notice, what to pursue, and what to ignore. Your identity is the operating system that runs every financial decision you make. Change the identity, and the behaviors follow automatically. Marcus eventually figured this out. Not all at once. One trap at a time. He cancelled 7 subscriptions in one afternoon. He stopped paying the minimum and attacked his credit card debt aggressively. He started a small side project that made him an extra $400 a month. He stopped buying things to impress people he did not actually care about. And 18 months later, Marcus had his first $1,000 in an investment account. It was not a lot, but for the first time in his adult life, money was moving in the right direction. And that feeling of being in control, changed how he thought about everything. Here is what I want you to take away from everything you just heard. You are not broke because you are unlucky. You are not broke because the system is rigged against you. At least, not entirely. You are in traps. Traps that were built specifically to keep you spending, reacting, and staying stuck. But now you can see them. and you cannot unsee what you have already seen. The moment you identified these traps, you stepped into a different category of person. Not someone who is financially struggling, someone who understands the game and is starting to play it differently. If this video helped you see your situation differently, share it with someone who needs to hear this. Not because it helps the channel, but because the person you share it with might be in trap 15 right now, and this could be the thing that shifts everything for them. You are not your current financial situation. You are not your past decisions. You are the choices you make starting today. And today, you already made one of the best ones. You chose to understand the game instead of just playing it blindly. That is not average. That is exactly the kind of thinking that changes everything.